Hello? Testing. Oh, it looks like we're live. Well, hello there. I did not know that would happen. But I'm using new software here, and well, it's not new. It's an updated version, and so everything is working differently than I'm used to. So I guess it just automatically went live when the countdown timer was like there. Am I live right now? I'm pretty sure I'm live right now. Okay, and I've got to figure out this interface here too. This is, if I keep getting a ding every time you guys say something in the chat, this is going to drive me crazy. How do I turn that off? Okay, so we got a few different things going on today. Sound effects, turn that off. There we go. Woo! Okay, so, yep, I'm live. Okay, thank you, Laura. So, Justin's supposed to be here, but I'm not sure where he's at. I know he's in Australia, so the time zone thing maybe got... Oh, what's this? I can add to broadcast. Whoa, hold on. Let me see. What happens if I add to broadcast? Oh, can you guys see that? Oh, but now my lower third is gonna kind of be messed up. Interesting. Okay. Well, oh, I can move it. Does that move now? Is that like up top for you guys? Ah. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna have to play around with this stuff again more later. Okay. Yeah, sorry. You guys aren't here to watch me dig around with this software, but yeah. Okay. So Justin's not here. I'm not sure. Maybe a time zone thing got mixed up or something. I tried messaging him a few times, and we confirmed it. So he's not here. So what I thought we would do is something a little bit different. And we're going to make this more of a collaborative type of thing. So Laura, my producer, is in the chat. And what she's going to do is take all of your questions that you guys are asking and put them in front of me. But instead, what we're going to do, I mean, you can ask questions and she will still get them. But Laura, I hope your fingers are all like ready to go here, because what we're going to do instead is I'm going to share with you a few ideas that I have about how to really use your mobile device to look and feel and sound like a DSLR and a professional camera. I've been shooting stuff on mine for a while, so I've got some stuff to say about this. But what I want you to do is, like, let's make this collaborative. So all of you guys who have opinions about this and have ideas and tips for this, I want you guys to leave them in the chat. And then Laura is going to take the good ones and the relevant ones and put them in front of me here. We have a shared Google Doc that we use. And together, let's see if we can just kind of combine, like make this more of a communal effort and combine all of our tips, all of our ideas, all of our everything that we've learned about shooting with mobile devices and just getting the best quality out of them possible. So makes sense? So yes, for you guys who are asking, Joshua and Harley, you're correct. Yeah, I'm using Ecamm. What's it called? Ecamm Live is what I'm using. So they just had an update, and this is my first time using that, streaming with the update. So it's a lot of cool things, but different things here I gotta just kind of pay attention to. All right, so you guys got it? Share your tips, and Laura's gonna put it in front of me, and so we'll spend a few minutes talking about. I have 3 ready to go, and we'll do that first, and then like let's talk through the stuff that you guys have here as well. And Jeff, since you're here, if you want to join me. You're in the chat. I saw you. So, let me text you my Skype info. It was kind of more fun to have like 2 people on here than like just me, right? So I just texted you, Jeff, story green light. So if you want to hop on with me, feel free. I'll put you on screen here. So and we'll be fun. And you can talk with me about DSLR mobile stuff. Okay, cool. All right, so you guys gonna be putting those your suggestions in chat. Let me go through my 3 real quick. Now, first of all, before we dive into this topic, I want to just kind of clarify some things real quick. Number one is that I normally don't talk about video production stuff here at Video Creators, and it's not because I have anything against video production. I think it's a really important conversation to have. But I also think like there's a lot of other people covering this, like Justin from Primal Video, if he were here. He talks a lot about this. There's a lot of channels talking about filmmaking, even entire channels out there dedicated to like mobile filmmaking, and people who are a lot smarter than me when it comes to some of the creative elements of how do we actually shoot content. My area of expertise lies pretty squarely in the YouTube strategy space. And so I do think it's important that you have channels like mine, but that you combine it with other people's channel. Like Sean Cannell talks a lot about some production stuff and camera gear and reviews and equipment. There's other people who talk a lot about like editing, and you need people like Jeff, who might be hopping on here in a second, who talk more about like the storytelling element. But the camera gear and the story and everything, like the editing techniques, none of that means anything if you don't have a good strategy, right, for how to actually grow your channel, and vice versa. Like it doesn't matter if you have a great strategy, but you don't know how to edit, and you don't know how to tell a story, and you don't know how to actually shoot something that looks and sounds good that's consumable. So you need all of these things, and I just kind of try to stay in my lane, right? Like other people do a great job of talking about production and camera gear and things like that, and much more intelligently than I do. But I feel like my team and I are some of the best in the industry at like developing a reproducible growth strategy for creators. Like our team so far, the clients we've worked with, we've helped them organically grow to collectively over 61 million subscribers and over 14 billion views. Right? So that is a lot of people. And we're really excited to be reaching all those people and helping our clients reach all those people and change people's lives and make a difference in the world. But today we're gonna get a little bit outside that and talk a little bit more about the production side. And because Justin, who would normally be here, that's what his whole channel is about. But we're going to do things a little differently, so kind of on the fly here. So I see you guys asking some questions, and I see you guys leaving some comments, so make sure you continue to do that in the chat, and Laura will get those in front of me, and we'll dive into that here. But instead of having Justin, how about an impromptu call-in from Jeff Barch? Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
I don't hear you, but I think the people can. That's not you. I don't think that's you, because I see your levels bouncing. I think that's me. This is how live streams go, guys. Hope you enjoy the raw realness of it.
We get so used to everything being so
I see
perfect
that.
and
I can see
polished.
your levels bouncing is totally my end. So with the software that happened, like lets you install an audio driver that lets you share video from your screen. So I installed it, and then I got an error, and I was like, oh, well, not a big deal. Well, apparently it's a big deal. So let me do
So
this.
y'all, I'll just wait to talk until Tim's
restarting
able
my
to hear
computer.
me, because that would be really confusing.
Okay, now talk.
Checking the sound.
No, I still don't hear you. I know everyone else can, though. In the chat, yeah, people are saying, we can hear him. People are like, this is what not to do. Let me put you. Now I'll say something.
Okay, try that again.
No.
How we doing? We'll get it eventually.
Maybe we won't have Jeff. Maybe you guys will just have Jeff. Let me go to Skype and check my audio settings there. Oh, here we go. I'll say something.
Checking the sound.
There we go. Now I gotcha.
Hey.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go. And I know I shouldn't clap because everyone's earbuds are popping right now, but
And then you're going to turn everything else down.
Sorry about that. All right. And apparently there's still people here. So thank you guys for hanging tight. All right. So Jeff, I'm just going to go through some of my 3, and I see some of you guys in the chat already talking about this. So you guys are, some of you guys are already on point with some of this, but any other tips you guys have or comments about this in the chat, feel free to leave those for Lara, and we'll go through your questions and your tips here in a second. I can see Lara already doing that. But before we dive in, Jeff, tell us about, who are you? You're not Justin. Who are you?
I'm not Justin Brown. I was actually looking forward to hearing what Justin was going to say today. So
I saw you in the chat. I'm like, oh, well, let's come on, Jeff.
Yeah. My background is in television editing. I'm a broadcast television editor based out here in Los Angeles, and I have a YouTube channel called Story Greenlight, which is all about helping YouTube creators and online video creators tell better stories and connect with their audiences and make your mark in the world.
Cool.
So that's what I'm about.
Sweet. And you shoot on a DSLR, right?
I do, although I did actually start out shooting on my iPhone. And so I do have a few things. I do have a few things that I've since learned that basically, which is why I don't shoot with an iPhone anymore. But but I do know that there are a lot of folks who do continue to do so, and they get some amazing results.
Well, the thing about the iPhone 2 or just mobile device in general is like it's not necessary. I think all creators are using it for video, even if it's not for their YouTube videos. There's like Snapchat and there's Instagram stories and YouTube stories and things like that where we're just quickly publishing mobile stuff on the go. And that's, I think, how a lot of us are using our cameras on our phones, even if it's not necessarily our production equipment. It's like, how can we make the best? How can we make the best of that? If we're gonna post something on Instagram or YouTube stories or elsewhere, how do we make it look and sound good? So, yeah,
and
you guys.
Also, if I can break in for a second, to add to that, it's like, how can you make it work when you're editing? Because that's some of the stuff that I've run up against in the editing process.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing about the phone is that like the frame rate's often inconsistent, and it just kind of makes it really hard to like edit and do anything professional. So, since we're rolling so casually here today, my daughter's coming in. Hallie,
hey,
grab what you need and get out, okay? No GoPro. They have their own YouTube channel right now, and so they just love vlogging, but not right now, okay? All right. If anyone cares to know what my kids do, they shoot, they edit in iMovie, and they publish. They do the thumbnails, they do everything on their own. They write their own metadata. I sat down and helped them like originally kind of figure out iMovie a little bit, but other than that, my wife and I approve each video before it gets published, but they do it on their own. So if anyone's curious to see how my kids are doing on their own, it's a channel called One Family Team. So I don't have a link to it for you or anything. You just kind of search and find it. All right, cool. Okay, so number one tip that I have is that like that's going to make the biggest difference is lighting. Lighting absolutely makes the biggest difference. Okay, so if you look at these little lenses, they're so small, right? I mean, how much light can a little hole that big possibly bring in? Answer is not much, right? So the phone tries to do some things to compensate for the lack of light, but you need light in order to have an image. And so when you're thinking about lighting, a few things that I look for is one, I just want to make sure that my subject is well lit and the background is like is darker, right? So as of right now, like I'm wearing a black hoodie, which is like not appropriate right now because my camera's trying to overcompensate. See how this side of my face is like is not whitewashed, blown out, because like the camera right now is trying to compensate to show you the black. So I am breaking my own rules right now. But
though to be fair, you always have plenty of light.
I do have plenty of light. I got these big windows right there, so it's kind of like, and then I have
Your China balls?
Yeah, these big China lantern things, whatever, up there as well. So, but because I'm wearing, actually, I'm wearing black underneath of it too, so it wouldn't help if I took it off. But so just kind of making sure the lighting's good. I also try, if I can control the lighting, I try to make sure the lighting's coming at it from an angle, not like straight on. Because when it comes straight on, it just kind of makes you kind of like look flat. But if you can get it coming across the side, like I have a lot of light over here and a little bit more shadow on this side of my face, it makes it look like there's a little bit more depth to my face rather than just a blaring flat on light. You got any lighting tips, Jeff, with that?
But basically, well, first of all, let me just preface this by saying it's like my background is in editing, and like many of us here, I am still right in the middle of my learning curve with shooting. Like it's one thing to shoot stuff that other people have to cut stuff that other people have shot. It's another thing entirely to come up with your own content, to shoot it, and then to edit. But yeah, in terms of lighting, it's just, I never cease to be amazed. It's like, basically, the more you can get, the better. Right. Also, when it comes to lighting, often you'll end up feeling a lot better when you have soft, diffused lighting. So think about the difference when you're outside and you're in bright sunlight as opposed to when it's sunny. When it's sunny as opposed to when it's a cloudy or overcast day. All of a sudden, it's like you look at your shadow on the ground and you hardly see any shadows at all. It's super diffused. So you can get that by you can get that kind of diffusion by, heck, I mean, like you can even just like stand next to a white wall and use that as this great big bounce card, and all of a sudden you have this really cool soft lighting on your face or whoever you're shooting. So more light whenever possible, and soft diffused light however possible.
Yeah. Yeah, because if it's like too harsh, it creates too many shadows. So you want like you want a little depth, but not like not like a harsh shadow. Yeah. You guys have some tips I see going up in the chat about lighting too. Heritage Soap Company says make sure you have really good lighting. That's a huge thing to do. Absolutely. I think I'll go back and change, like, the more lighting, the better is true up to a certain point, right? Then it's just like a blast of light, and right. That's not good either. I have found that properly using like small lights is better than improperly using big lights. So getting a good depth is really, really important. Another thing is to make sure that you're getting good audio. So two things to do: either make sure you're holding it close, like to it when you're shooting, and that like so you're so close as you can. So what I used to sometimes do would get like a wide angle attachment lens that would let me hold the camera closer to my face and capture better audio without it looking like you're just getting my mouth and nose on it. Or you can get like an external mic that plugs into it. But most people will be pretty forgiving on YouTube of like shaky hand cam and things like that, but not nearly as forgiving as poor audio. Poor audio just sounds really unprofessional. It's unusable, at least a higher audience abandonment. And even even on a quiet environment, audio on a phone just isn't that good. So you can help by getting it closer, but using the external microphone, I think if you're going to make an investment, like get the microphone before you get a DSLR or something. Make it.
And I would even add to that. I would say don't, like people say, it's like, oh, well, if I get a crazy expensive microphone, like there are, if you're familiar with shotgun microphones, the long skinny kind, there are some kind of microphones that are designed to pick up sounds from super far away, but those are ridiculously expensive. And the general rule is a $50 microphone up close will almost always sound better than a $500 or even a $5,000 microphone in the back of the room.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you have to have crazy expensive microphones either.
I think only you will appreciate this, maybe, Jeff. My wife just started watching whatever season of Survivor just started. And I'm like, how do they capture that audio? Because they're outside on an island. It's like so windy. And I'm looking for the mics in the hair but like sometimes they're just wearing like underwear. And you're like, where? I don't know where they'd be hiding those microphones. And you see like their hair blowing and the ocean's like right behind it. I'm like, that sounds so crystal clear. I'm like, how the heck are they doing that? So.
Well, number one, they're getting it with super long shotgun mics covered up with dead cats, like you would not believe, like the big furry stuff. Yeah. Well, for the benefit of anyone who doesn't know, who's like, what on earth are you talking about, a dead cat? But then there's also a lot of cleaning up that unscripted television does in audio post-production.
Okay.
It's, in fact, even to the point where I, having spent my entire professional career editing television, it's like I don't even know all the voodoo that they do in audio post, because they can make the most incredibly bad audio actually sound okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the type of stuff my wife's like, will you stop watching this with me? You're ruining the whole show. So I'm like, sorry, I'll just keep. And then I'm thinking like, well, the story doesn't make sense if that person goes home tonight. So that person's not going home. She's like, stop it. So anyway, so yeah, audio is really important. And I see some of you guys are talking about that. Talia Zimmer says, I need better lighting, have some, getting more in the near future. What inexpensive lighting would you recommend? Do you have anything to recommend? I usually just say like go cheap, like Cowboy Studio, something or other. I mean, I have like these lights like right here. And then I got another one like right there. You know, those are nice lights, but they were a couple $1,000s and they look like it. Like I tell you. Oh my gosh. I got them because they're really compact. I took them over to Israel with me to shoot some stuff over there, and they just looked amazing. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I was like drooling over my own footage. Nice. Oh, here's Justin. Justin's in the chat now. So, oh yeah, dude, that's what I figured, Justin. I was like, I probably got time zones mixed up. So yeah.
Dude, if you want me to step off, just say the word. Your call, man.
Let's see here. Yeah. Let's let Justin step in since we planned it that way. So you guys want to check out Story Greenlight, you can check out his channel. It's not linked below, obviously, because we didn't plan it, but just search for Story Greenlight. It'll pop up.
Cool.
All right, cool.
Hey, guys.
See you, man. All right. And let's bring Justin on. Oh, he's like, it's 5:18 a.m. here. Oh, I should have asked him if he still wants to do it. He's probably... I said, no problem if you still don't want to do it. He's like, we could postpone. Yeah, he was thinking I was in Pacific time. He says, all good. Let's see what this is. You guys are getting a really good live stream right now. This is like as raw as it gets. So I hope you're being entertained, if nothing else. All right. We'll get him on here. So let me share my last thing, and then we'll see what Justin has to say, is to hold the camera still. Oh, here he comes. Is to hold the camera still. So a few, so a few things, like if it's really shaky, like that's kind of hard to, people are just going to give them a headache. So use a tripod. One of the things I do is I'll just I guess see this, but I just hold it flat against the surface like that, like at arm's length. So I'll just go up to a wall and hold it against the wall. So at least it's still, or I'll have a friend and be like, hold still. And I'll just hold it to their shoulder. Other people don't need to know that, but at least it's kind of like just holding it firm. So it's not really shaking around as much. So, hey, Justin, how are you, man? Good morning.
We made it. So sorry about that.
Oh, no problem at all. Yeah. It's fun. This is the type of stuff people love on live streams.
Oh, I've never ever done that before. I'm so sorry to do it to you of all people.
Oh, no,
Yeah, I
that's
just woke
totally
up early.
fine.
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get up early, 5 o'clock, and then I got your message on Skype. I'm like, it's 3 hours away.
Yeah,
It's up
you're like,
now.
oh wait,
So
time
sorry
zone.
about that.
I should have sent you a calendar invite. Normally I do that, but
Nah,
I didn't this time.
it's all
So
good.
you
I
can blame it
definitely
on
read
me. It's
PST
fine.
instead of EST. You guys have too many time zones. It's crazy over
I
there.
know. Well, how many do you guys have in Australia?
Nowhere near that many. I think
Two?
most people just live down the East Coast, so it's pretty easy to work it out from there. But there's not a lot else.
Okay. Well, glad you're here. Good morning.
Good
Hopefully
morning.
you're not too if you're cool to do this, we can postpone it.
No,
But
yeah,
good?
we're better
Okay.
late than never.
So all we've talked about so far is lighting and holding it close. But most of the people are in the chat because, including Jeff, who was just on here, he was like, "I wanted to hear what Justin had to say." So we'll totally dive into all your notes here. Before we
awesome.
do that, though, just introduce yourself. There's a link to Justin's channel down below if you guys want to check him out. But tell us a little bit about your channel and what you do.
Cool. So my name's Justin. I work with my brother Mike. He's the behind the scenes guy, so no, we don't bring him out too often. But our business is Primal Video, and we help people leverage video to amplify their business and brand. So we're all told these days that we need to use video for marketing and video for business, or we're creating content on YouTube, but there's all these barriers and fears and things that come up for people. Things like fear of being on camera, the gear, the tech. How do I actually get views or subscribers, or how do I actually make money from this stuff? That's what we're pumped to share and to help people with.
Absolutely, it's cool. Yeah, so I told them in the beginning that I feel like I don't really talk much about gear and production and things like that because there's people like you and many others who just do such a great job of that, and I don't feel like lending my voice to that is like necessary because you guys you're smarter than me and and that kind of stuff, and you guys were more familiar with all that. I know enough to get by right with my stuff, but I try to like stay in my lane, which is like strategy. But I told him earlier is like, but you need everything. You need YouTube strategy, but strategy doesn't mean anything if you don't have gear, and gear doesn't mean anything if you don't like Jeff earlier. You don't have like good storytelling techniques, right? So and then on that matters if you don't know how to edit or even actually assemble. Right. Yep. So you need actually all of us. And there's some channels like Premier Gal who's just dedicated to editing, and then you have channels like Justin that's dedicated to like gear and equipment, and I know you guys focus heavily on the mobile stuff, which is really good for people obviously because almost everyone has like a device that they can just get started with. I try to focus on strategy, so I think like my audience needs all of us, right? And that's why I wanted to bring you on here today and kind of help people kind of get started with some of this stuff. And the reason why I said that these are important is because even if you have a DSLR and you're shooting like your main production camera is something more fancy, we're still using this to interact with our audience, whether it be through Instagram stories or YouTube stories or Facebook stories or just photography or whatever the case. Like this is kind of like our bread and butter for how we stay in touch with our audience on an ongoing basis between each video that we might be using bigger gear for. So whether you're just starting out and the phone's all you have, or you're a more experienced creator, like all of us are still using our mobile devices, which is where channels like Primal Video can be really helpful. So
yeah, and that's where we like the phones because they just remove everyone's excuses to creating content. Everyone's like, I won't create a video until I get that new DSLR or that mirrorless camera, or whatever it is. But you can get great results with videos just with your phones.
Absolutely. And actually, you need to work out a lot of those skills. Like having a higher level camera doesn't help you get better at telling better stories, right? You gotta
no, definitely.
That's a skill.
And a lot of people go and get those cameras and they stop making content because they have no idea how to use those camemoers.
Right.
So
like I remember
they've blown a lot of money in the process. So
totally.
It is catch-22 with that as well.
Yeah. It was last year sometime now, but I worked with a client who they had like 7 full-time people on this channel, all of them with Hollywood television studio backgrounds, shooting. It looked beautiful. It was like on epic red, $20,000 cameras, and it was just like really, really awesome. But then they came to me because they're like, Tim, like we can't break 24 views per video. Like, what's going on? And it was like, well, and all their issues were all the other skills that you can learn on any camera, which is the storytelling stuff. And I was like, I watched a bunch of your videos and I still don't even know the host's name. Like, who is she? What's her story? You know? So it was like, doesn't matter how good the production is if you can't tell a good story, or have good strategy or whatever. So you need all those things. But anyway, so
Definitely.
Let's help people with your tips. Tell us what you had in mind for how these creators should best use their phones.
Perfect. Well, you have already jumped into audio and lighting, but I think audio is the most important piece. Use any microphone is going to be better than the one that's built in, but at the same time, if the built-in one on your phone is all you've got access to, then still make the videos. Just get out of wind, get her out of places with a lot of background noise, but wherever you can, plug in a microphone. There are some awesome little microphones. If you've got an iPhone, you will need to use one of those little adapters to be able to plug in a microphone, or I hate to say it, but your AirPods are still going to be better than the built-in one if you're out and about and you're walking around. But I'd probably still go for a wired lapel or a lavalier microphone. You can pick those up for around $20 US, or a little mini shotgun microphone. So there's a company, Boya, Boya. They make some great cheaper end microphones, and even for a lot of our videos, like we've got all the production stuff from documentaries. We literally film most of our videos with a $20 Boya microphone. It's crazy. So yes, you can get some awesome gear with it, and it's all just to remove excuses. If I told everyone that we were using a $2,000 microphone that we use in documentaries, like, who does that help? It doesn't help anyone. So we're just using the gear that we want you guys to use to remove those excuses. So it's good enough for him, and I can hear him, and it sounds good enough. That's, we try not to get caught up in the tech as much as we're trying to teach people not to get caught up in the tech.
Right.
So audio, most important thing. So what microphone are you using there now?
This one right here?
Yeah.
This is a Heil PR40. But
Fancy.
I don't shoot videos on this necessarily. I just use this for all my, I talk
Podcast.
on the internet for a living. So I'm always doing consultations or working with my team or something. I have, let's see if you can see it back in the corner there. Can you see this one? This one right here?
Yep.
That's Rode NTG3.
Yep.
And then this one down here is a Rode Video Mic Pro.
Perfect.
So it's like the older
so
style.
Rode is the other company that makes a lot. And the reason I say Boya is because it's probably about half the price, if not much, much less. We have done side-by-side comparisons, and yes, the Rodes do have the edge, especially when you get into the wireless microphones. And then Sennheiser is obviously another good option. But for anyone for your phone, look at Rode or look at Boya. Or Audio Technica is actually, in a lot of cases, a rebranded Boya microphone, or it might be the other way around. They're the same thing that's just repackaged. So there's some great little cheap microphones, but audio should be the first thing that you get. If you're going to spend any money, it's on your microphone.
Absolutely. Yeah,
next
I
up
like
would
the.
I know that's where you
I
guys
tend to go for the Rhodes, and I like supporting my Aussie friends anyway. So, because Rhodes based there in Sydney, aren't they, or Melbourne?
Sorry, I missed you on that one.
Isn't Rode based in Australia?
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I've never communicated with them, never had a conversation with them, and literally just down the road. Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Rode is down the road. Yes.
Well, if I ever come visit,
this is my dad joke.
And be like, I know those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are asking about my streaming tech here as well. I see you in the chat talking about that. And I'm just using a Logitech webcam. It's the business class one. There's like $100-something. I forget the exact. It's like C or 930E or something like that. I think it doesn't tell the model number. I'm not sure, but that's the webcam.
I'm just using the Logitech Brio webcam. This is the 4K one, but it's definitely not streaming at 4K at the moment.
Oh, it's okay.
There's a few people
my stream's
have
only at 1080p, so it's fine.
Cool. I did see someone that says, "Am I invisible?" Cinematic flux you up. No, you're definitely not invisible.
Let me give you a link here also. That's Laura, my producer, is putting a lot of the relevant comments and stuff on there.
Okay.
So we can kind of keep up. So you guys, keep asking your questions. Laura is putting them in front of us, and as well as sharing your tips, because here at the end we want to go through and make sure we cover all of your tips as well for this. Okay, so good audio.
Awesome.
Make
So good audio. Next one is
Sure.
lighting, the obvious one. I know that I came in when you guys were talking about lighting, and you were showing us. I think you got softbox lights behind your setup there.
Yeah,
We were using softbox lights for a long time. Like the bigger ones, they're awesome because you can pick them up really cheap. But the biggest thing I found with them was working in a small space, like the office that I actually film in here. Everyone thinks it's this huge room. I could literally touch the other end of it if I stretched out.
Yeah, I have a small one over here.
Yeah.
You can see that one. And then I have the bigger one right there. The lights are all the same. It's just the box is different sizes.
Oh, okay. Nice. So I'm using, there's a company called Yongnuo, Yongnuo, random. I'd never heard of it. And actually I got introduced to them by Caleb Pike from Dslr Video Shooter. These things sell for $45 US, and they are amazing. But they throw a nice soft light, so it's like having a softbox on the front of them, and they are like a super thin LED. I can't take one. I stuck them on the wall. I can't take one off to show you.
You look really well lit like right now. Is that what you're using right now?
Yeah, I've got one on right now, and then I've got backlights in the ceiling.
Okay, because I'm like, it's like 5:30 a.m. for you. It's like really dark right there.
It's dark outside. Yep, and I've got most of the lights off.
Yeah, so you look good right now. Cool. And I mean that in the most complimentary way, of course. So anything with good lighting in terms of like positioning, or because lighting can get really expensive.
Yeah. Right.
Is all light kind of created equal, or what?
Yeah, lighting is one of those things that then people go and overcomplicate. I am someone that would say like one light should be your absolute minimum. You got to think of what's the focus of your video, and in most cases it's you or the person that's on camera. You need at least one light to light up their face so that it is easy for people to focus on and to know immediately when looking at the shot that that's the thing or that's the person I'm supposed to be looking at. You don't want to be over distracting in the background and those kinds of things to annoy people. You want the focus to be on you and the content you're delivering, and that's it. So people overcomplicate the background, make it too bright, make it too distracting with all these little things going on. It's really just got to be there for color, unless it's adding to the story or to what you're saying in your video. So one light at an absolute minimum. If you're using one light, it's going to be near your kind of your camera, so shining on your face. If you've got two, you might put them off on like a 45-degree angle on either side to have one as the primary light to light up your face, and the other one might fill in some of the shadows. Yeah. It's common on YouTube and it's common in film and documentaries, a 3-point lighting setup. Like I said, you've got a light there in the background as well that you showed us. You could have that third light on and it would light up the back of your shoulders just to give you some more separation from the room, but you've got a window there to do that as well. So it really is about using what you've got. If you don't have access to any lights right now, sit in front of a window would be a great place to start. If you don't have a window, then bring in any desk lights or lamps or anything that you've got, because with our smartphones in particular, which is our topic here, they aren't as good in low light, especially in video mode. So they might take the best photos in low light, depending on which one you've got, but the video modes are normally pretty poor. So that's where you will want at least one light, but make sure that you've got that light on you as the subject. If you've got additional lights, then go nuts and light up the background, as long as it's not distracting.
Yep. When I first got started, I just shot outside, and I figured that was like kind of took care of that problem, you know?
Yep, definitely. Plenty of light outside.
That's right. And then I was getting some wind in the audio and things like that, or I couldn't shoot during the day. Sometimes I can only do it in the evening or something. So I brought it inside, and I just got some like $5 clamp lights from like a big box home store, and then I put some light bulbs in them, and then to diffuse the light, I just got some like chunks of a sheet, and I just clipped them on top so they would just hang. Probably a fire hazard, but I just hung them on top, and that just really softened the light a lot. So it worked well for me when I got started.
Baking paper, or I think you guys have, must have baking paper, like that thin, like wax paper you can use, and we've used that quite a lot if your lights are too bright. Or you can use pillowcases is another good one, especially if you're traveling around. A pillowcase and put it over your light. Obviously, again, you want to make sure that it's not one of the, like it's an LED light that you're doing it to, and not a globe light, so it doesn't heat up and start a fire. There's my disclaimer. If anyone burns down their house or their hotel room, I'm sorry about that, but yeah, not for use it for LED lights. They're not going to heat up much.
Yeah, and the LEDs are less likely to break. Like the other ones are like glass or something. If your light falls over, like I have 7 little kids, right? And so they get the cords get tripped over. But these LEDs, they're like indestructible, so they last forever.
I'll spin this around. Like these are literally. I think I can show you. I'm going to touch the tech while it's working. Up here, I'm not sure if you're going to see how thin these things.
Audio panels too.
Yeah, so just a little bit behind. Camera with teleprompter. This is the Panasonic GH5. I can't see what I'm showing you, so I'm hoping you can see this.
Yeah, I see it.
And then there's the second lights up the top there, and I'm back in here in the messy room. So it's not too bad, actually.
Yeah, no, it looks good actually, and it looks like it's a perfect daylight, like 5,500 kelvins. We might be getting too technical now, but I noticed the lights behind you are yellower. Is that on purpose?
Yeah, so they're just, I changed the color. They're those Philip Hue ones that they're literally just there for background. And so if I'm going to shoot 10 videos in a row, I can make them look a little bit different. I might change the camera positioning a little bit and change the colors on the sheet, the pedestal lamp and on the bookcase. They're just Philips Hue lights.
Yeah. The Story Greenlight has a good tip here. It's like bouncing off of a wall is good when you have bare lighting fixtures. So if you need to, like if you can't cover up the harsh light, just like point it straight up towards the ceiling instead, or against the wall and let it reflect.
Definitely.
That's good too.
That's a great tip. And in some case, if your light's too bright, and a lot of your cheaper end LED lights, like most of the ones you'll find for $10 to $30, without that, let's just say most LED panels that you get out there won't have that diffuser on there, or it won't be soft enough to use to shine straight on your face. You should use something like bouncing it off a wall. That will make a huge difference. That's a solid tip.
There's a lot of tips coming in. Just real quick, also, I've been using Launchpad Astronomy says, I've been very happy with my Boya BYM1 Lav. The only issue I have is to erase clothing rustle noise. Do you have tips for that, or I do if you don't?
Yeah. We have a great tip on that. This is something that someone from Discovery Channel showed me when I was first starting out, and it's to use duct tape or gaffer tape, the cloth tape, and fold it or rip off 2 little pieces about this long, and you fold it back on itself until it makes a triangle. We have a video about this on our channel, but you want to make 2 little triangles out of that tape that are sticky on both sides. So you're folding it backwards on itself, so it's double-sided and sticky. You want to put the microphone between the 2, and then you stick it under your shirt. And that way it's going to stick to yourself and to your shirt. So as you move your arms around, then you're not going to get any rustling from that because it's actually pinned at that point. So it's going to move around but not rustle the shirt. You can literally run with a lapel or lavalier microphone on like this, and it's you're not going to hear it. Right. You also get a bonus chest wax out of it as well if you're like me. So it's win-win. And but no, seriously, and it cuts out all the wind noise. If you're outside, if you're filming with a lapel or lavalier outside, you want to put your microphone just under the tape or just below the top level of the tape, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So the wind is going to pass over the top of it and you don't get the wind on there.
Right. Totally. Yeah. It just want to just keep it from moving. That's all.
Yeah, that's it.
So I usually, if I put mine on the shirt underneath here, and I just tape it. So if my shirt moves, it moves with the shirt, and then I put the other one on top, and no one can see it under there.
Yep.
Sweet. So sound, lighting, anything else?
I would say then is once you've got those 2 nailed in order to get the best out of your smartphones, it's to look at additional camera apps or third-party camera apps to be able to unlock the highest bit rates, highest quality, to be able to get those DSLR-like settings on our smartphones. There's awesome apps out there. There's quite a few of them. The most popular one is Filmic Pro. It does sell for, I think it's $14.99, but it is definitely worth it if you're serious about creating videos on your smartphone. It'll let you record at different frame rates, so a more cinematic-looking 24 frames per second instead of the default 30 on our phones. So that alone is awesome, but also the ability to really lock down your exposure settings and your shutter speed as well. Now, we don't want to go too detailed on this because we're going to scare some people, but you can actually dial in all of your settings as you would on a DSLR or mirrorless. So to remove things like flickering lights. So because I'm here in Australia, our set frequency is 50 hertz. Our lights actually flicker at 50 hertz. In the US, that's 60 hertz based off your power. So you can bring in flickering from the lights in your scene, depending on the camera that you're using. And smartphones and webcams inherently are prone to this. So you can use Filmic Pro on your smartphone to be able to lock down those settings to remove that, but also to increase the quality of the videos that you're recording. You can actually record at higher qualities using apps like Filmic Pro.
What app did you say to use?
Filmic Pro.
Oh, Film. Okay. I'm like, is this one?
Filmic.
I thought you said Filmora. I don't like that. Okay. What is it? How do you spell it?
Filmic.
Like, oh, okay. It's $15?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said $40. I was like, yeah. Oh, I have this one in my wish list in case I ever needed one. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it's awesome. So then they have on top of that, not that it's all about buying apps and that kind of stuff, but they do have a cinematic grade pack on top of that. I don't think it's much extra, but I'm not sure on the price. It's not needed, but you will let you shoot in log mode as well, so that you can get different color effects and those sorts of things and more control over your color grade.
Wow. Okay.
Someone asked in there, Joseph Andrews, what about Moment? I have tested the Moment app. I know that it's progressed. I tested an early version of their app. It's equivalent to Filmic Pro. I haven't tested their latest one, so I can't make any calls on that.
Cool. So yeah, the accent sound. That's what I heard too, Mike. It was like $40?
Sorry, it's my 5 a.m. accent. In case you saw, I had a coffee or it's a tea dropped in earlier.
I can't imagine what a rude awakening. Why were you up checking your Skype messages?
My wife wakes up at 5 every morning because she's got a commute to go to work, whereas I'm just here a few meters from bed. So I said, look, wake me up. I'll get up early, get the kids sorted, because it was going to be about, I thought it was 8 a.m. So I had time to go and drop the kids at daycare and that kind of stuff first.
So your wife saw the messages and woke you up?
It's worked out well. No, I planned to get up early and checked at 5:15 a.m. I'm like, you're like, hey, we're live now. I'm like, oh, right. I could lay in bed now, or I could get up and yeah. So
I don't get up at 5:15 if I have a chance. Okay, cool. So anything else? We had a bunch of questions to dive into. Do you have anything else to help people that you want to say before we dive into the questions?
I had the last one. I'll make it super quick. Is if you really want to get the most cinematic looking footage or DSLR looking footage, it would be if you're going to be moving around to use a gimbal stabilizer. These days you can pick them up for around $100 or $120. The one that I'm the biggest fan of is the Zhiyun, or Zhiyun is apparently how you say it, the ZHIYUN, the Smooth 4. That thing is amazing, and you get like full control over everything. It now works with Filmic Pro as well. So these things, like you can literally run with them, and it'll look like a drone is following you along. Like they just stabilize and take all the shake out.
I have one over here. That one that gimbal right there is the Zhiyun as well, but it's for the DSLR one. And same thing. Mike was on his bike. It'll be in this week's video. He was on his bike, and I was using his bike as like a metaphor for the point I was making. And I was literally like running as fast as I can, not looking. I was just, because he was coming up behind me, I wanted to get like a front on shot of him riding. And I looked at the photos, I'm like, there's no way that turned out. And I'm like, oh, it looked actually half decent, And then we shot parts of it in 120 frames per second. So like super slow-mo, and it just looks like butter. It just looks perfect. So
it's crazy how good they are. Like I thought that would be okay and not like amazing. Like we've done the same thing. It's like, all right, we'll put this thing through its paces. I'm just going to run as fast as I can and just hold this thing out in front of me. And this is not going to be usable. It's going to be so bad. And no, even at full playback speed, not even slow-mo, it still looked amazing. I'm like, okay, I'm hooked. One of these things now lives in my backpack.
You're right. Cinematic Flexua just spelled it out for you guys so you can see it, how it's ZHYUN, I think is how it's spelled, so you can see that there. All right, let's get into some of these questions. I know a lot of you guys are like, well, you don't see me, or my time is wasted. I'm like, hopefully your time's not wasted. Hopefully, I mean, come on now. Like, we're trying to provide as good value as we can. We can't give personal attention to a couple hundred people all at once, but we'll try to do our best we can by answering the questions that several people were asking. So first of all, the Tiny Violinist, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate it. Anything to say about phone lenses, Justin? That's his question.
Of course, that was one I had written down. I do think that there is a place for lenses for phones, but again, it really comes down to the types of videos you're creating. There is a heap of different ones out there, and they're really all to add a different creative element. But I would say the one that most people would see benefit in would be a wide-angle lens for their phone. Now, a lot of them these days, the newer phones actually come with like a wide-angle selfie camera or a wide angle on the back. If you've got that, you probably don't need an additional one, but there are generic wide-angle lenses that you can clip on to any phone out there that will give you a greater field of view. So if you are going to be doing an interview with two people standing side by side, put a wide-angle lens on it and you'll have a lot more room. It's going to be, you don't have to be climbing all over the top of each other and those sorts of things. So
right.
Also, if you're in real estate and creating real estate videos or scenic shots outside, then that's where you can really capture the full scene with a wide-angle lens. Lots out there to choose from. I would say we've tested some really cheap ones versus really expensive ones. The best ones were the middle-of-the-road ones, so the ones not the $5, $10, and the $200 or $300 ones. Yes, they exist. I'm not anti you spending that, but I'd rather, like, you're going to get very similar results spending around $50 to $100 on a decent set of lenses. Just the same as with our cameras, like it's part of the quality. You don't want
right.
the cheapest end.
Yeah, unlike cameras, where like there's probably not a big difference between a $300 and $800 camera. There's a big difference between a $300 and $800 lens. And,
oh, for sure.
You know, like so. Different types of gear, they don't scale quite the same way in terms of quality and price. But
yeah. So the only other lens that I think is useful on a smartphone, and again, if you're going to be shooting outdoors, is a polarized lens, so that you can take out some of the glare. Those things look amazing if you're doing scenery shots or shooting near water or lakes. It just takes the glare off the ocean and also makes the blues and greens in your shot really pop. Besides that, you can get ND filters to darken it down, but that's probably more on the photography side than video. So if you want to make those blurry waterfall shots where you take a photo of the waterfall and you see the water like all blurred out, you'll need an ND filter for that.
Cool. Talia Zimmer says, I need better lighting. I have some, but getting more in the near future. What inexpensive lighting would you recommend? I think you talked about that a little bit, but the Boyas, right? Or no, those are the microphones. Did you talk about
the Yongnuo was the lights,
Yongnuo,
but also there's a great little one. There's like a toy room in here. This is a new one that I'm just testing out at the moment. I'm totally blown away with it. This is the Lume Cube. So I think we were talking bigger lights, or are you talking for small portable ones?
She didn't say. She just said she was looking for lighting.
So this is like, it's got a magnetic back. You can stick it anywhere. I think, like, on the topic of smartphones, this is one that I would definitely carry around with me. And this thing is like crazy bright, like 5 levels of brightness. And I think it's around the $50 mark. Lume Cube Air. Yeah. Not to just promote a product, but I'm really blown away with it. And I think for smartphones, it's small. It's going to go in your backpack with your phone.
Cool. Abraham Farrar, any recommendations for good audio editing tutorials?
That's a good one. As far as audio, I'm not sure who I'd even go and watch for that. I mean, there are some people out there that just go so detailed on audio editing. For me, I would say if you can focus on getting good audio in, then you've probably got less editing or repair to do on it, and then you can just edit your audio inside of your editing software. It's not an awesome answer for you, but I think that would be one of those things that unless you're really particular on it, or you're doing music recording or something, it can be a black box. You could spend a heap of time there and not see a lot of return, or your viewers may not notice the difference between you spending 10 more hours on it or not, unless that's your industry.
A friend of mine, a former YouTube creator, is a sound design guy out in Hollywood, does major motion picture films, that are, in theaters, and does a lot of popular television shows and stuff. And having a conversation with him about audio, like, it is totally a black box. It's like a black hole. It's like, I don't know. I feel like in video you can eventually you're going to exhaust that topic. But maybe that's just showing my ignorance right there by saying that. But with audio, it feels like, man, those waveforms, there's so much. And I still remember I was out in Seattle. We were both at an event. It was about 3 years ago now, I think. and he was doing some shooting for me. I gave him my camera. He was shooting some stuff, and he pointed out like, "Oh, Tim, I don't think your microphone's working." It was the NTG2. And the Rode, and he's like, "I don't think it's working." And I'm like, "Oh, well, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, and so I switched to a different microphone. It was fine, but then I just threw the microphone in the trash. I just figured it was done for. And at breakfast the next morning, I told him, like, "Yeah, I just threw it away." And he's like, "You did what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I threw it away." He's like, "Tim, like, you can just replace the diaphragms in those things and keep going, He's like, "Wait till I tell the guys on the set about, or whatever he called it, on the crew about, like, you threw away that microphone just because it stopped working." I'm like, "I don't know."
It's not a cheap.
No, they're not.
Microphone.
But he goes in and, like, to the level of detail where he's recreating like sounds for each little part of like movies, and it's just it's crazy. Anyway, yes, I would say whatever the issue you have is with your audio, just search for how to fix that issue on YouTube. Yeah. I found that most audio stuff is either using Adobe Audition, or it's using John Blank. What's the open source
Audacity?
One? Audacity, yeah. And so Audition is far more professional and powerful. Lets you do a lot of things. Lets you kind of take out background hums and noises and things like that pretty relatively simply with just a few clicks. You can do some of that on Audacity as well, but so those would be the two programs I would check out if you want to do any audio editing like that.
Yeah, I think it's more if you've got an issue with it, then go and Google that issue, how to fix background noise, how to remove hum or whatever it is. But ideally, you're trying to fix that kind of stuff first.
Yeah. Let's see here. Sensible Nomads, what's the best way to get clear pics on the iPhone? I find they're always grainy.
Always green.
Grainy.
Green can come in from the lights that you're using.
Pixelated, like low light is what it sounds like.
Yeah, okay, or it's low light. So it's either the color cast from the lights that you bring in, or it's pixelated and it's low light. So the easiest way to fix it is to add light. Really, it's going to sound like a silly answer, but that's a lot of smartphones aren't great low light, and you will need to add light on. And that's where something like this, just to carry around with you, is going to make a huge difference. Or get someone else there with another phone, put their flashlight on.
That's what we did. I was actually. When I was in Israel a few months ago, we were shooting something, and it just took much longer to shoot than we thought, and it got dark a lot earlier. Not earlier, but like we just ran out of time, and so we all just pulled out our phones, turned on the little light, pointed it, and like it was like made all the difference in the world. It like totally saved it was totally unprofessional, but it was that versus like pixelated, dark, trying to color grade stuff. Like it worked.
Doesn't matter. I saw so many people at Vid Summit doing that the same. Like I've never seen so many people using their phones as lights for other people filming. I was like, this is awesome. Everyone's just on there getting it done.
Sweet. Let's kind of do a rapid fire round here. Lightning round. Jay-Z helps. He wants to know what mic you're using.
The Rode NT USB.
NT USB. Oh, I didn't know they had a NT. Okay, cool.
It's this one. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Cool. Flyride asks, what wireless audio would you suggest for a first setup?
I am a big fan of the Rode Filmmaker Kit. It's around the $400 price point. Range is good. Battery life is good. It's just a little bulky, but I wouldn't go a cheapie, a Boya for wireless.
I find like wireless is not as like if you get cheap wireless, you're gonna get a lot of static interference, and it's gonna drop out on you. I have the Sennheiser wireless, which work great, but they're also like
Sennheiser would be next level up than the Rode.
Yeah, it's like not cheap. But if you need something,
Sennheiser have a new one that I'm hoping to test out, and it's around the $400 price point, and it's tiny. So if you're doing anything like yoga or gym stuff or whatever, like this thing, you're not going to sit on it or squash it. So I'm keen to test it out, but it's coming in directly at that same price point as the Rode. So my recommendation is the Rode.
Sorry, I think it's a little bit of a delay.
That's all right. I've had it a few times for you too. Yeah.
I actually switched from using wireless to just using a Tascam. So wired mic clips on, but then it just records right onto the like little battery pack, and you just put it in your pocket, and it just records locally. There's nothing wireless. You don't have to worry about stuff cutting out. It records at multiple different decibel levels. So if it clips on one and peaks, like you still have a perfectly good lower level. You can splice in there if you need to. And those you just hit record and they run just straight on one battery for like 10 hours. So, and then you just got to synchronize the audio when you bring it into edits, and which is in Premiere. So you just right click, hit synchronize, and you're done. So
it's pretty good these days.
Yeah.
Like how you can do it.
Yeah. So I actually stopped, even though I have the wireless, I stopped using it.
Yeah.
Any advice? This is Jim00991. Any advice for audio when shooting in a large room with a lot of echo?
Get the microphone as close to whoever is speaking or the audio source as possible. There's kind of the general rule with audio. Mm-hmm. The closer you get the microphone, the better it's going to sound. And the less background noise and less echo it's going to pick up. Right. You can do this really, like if you're in a big room, it's going to be a lapel or a lavalier, I would imagine. A directional shotgun microphone if you're going to be close to them to kind of cut out that noise as well. But the best one is going to be a lapel or lavalier, as close as you can, like clip it to their shirt, to their jacket.
Yep. Bansana Zapadon asks, what kind of video editing software do you use, Justin?
To be honest, we now outsource our editing. I haven't edited one of our YouTube videos for the last 2.5 years, and it's something I didn't think was possible, and I absolutely love it. We have videos on our channel showing you how you can do the same, because still most people, like I'm a creator. I create documentaries and those sorts of things, and I didn't think I could hand it over. So we have 2 editors on our team. They use a combination of Final Cut and Premiere. But I love now that it's freed up my time so that I can go and work on the business instead of editing. And everyone's like, can't believe you don't edit your own YouTube videos. That's wrong. Is it wrong? I can create more content for you now and serve in different ways. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. In fact, I edited my first video in like 2.5 years on Christmas time as our family vlog. And I'm like, I kind of miss this. It's been a long time since I've had to piece this together, but our team uses this.
I definitely enjoy editing. If I'm going to jump in and edit now, I'm going to go on Final Cut, which is something I never thought I would say. I love how fast it is. Like I'm a long-time Premiere user. Like our channel started as video editing coach. Like I wanted to teach this stuff, but I quickly realized how long an editing tutorial takes to make, and thought this isn't sustainable. So Final Cut.
Work on the business, not in the business.
That's it.
Mike Phillips, do you use those Young NU lights to light your green screen as well?
You can do, yes. If you're lighting green screen, obviously with green screen, lighting is the most important piece. It's going to come down to your individual setup. If you're in a dark room, then those Yongnuo lights may not be bright enough to do the green screen and yourself. If you've got ceiling lights in there as well, or some other light source, then yes, they're going to be fine. And so in this room, yes, I will use those lights to light up a green screen.
Let's go through your guys' tips that you have. Your guys, is that how you say that? I'm not sure the proper English is there. The tips that you guys submitted here. Miza says shoot in landscape. Yeah, if you're putting it on YouTube, put it in landscape. Now, if you're putting it on like Instagram stories or something like that, people are watching portrait, then it's fine. But landscape. Travels with Delaney. Always clean your lens before starting to record. Very solid good tip. I've learned that the hard way many times. Yep. Mike from Haunted Road Media says, if you're mobile and trying to go live, make sure your connection is strong. Trying to broadcast over an extended connection can be really problematic. Absolutely. Mike does a lot of live streaming on his channel, so he would know. Dinosaur Adventures. Best thing I've found is have a filming rig. Add lights and mic to it. Keep video smooth. Gimbal or tripod makes a difference. Film 10x what you think you need. Have fun. Be creative. Get a response to that one?
I'd say with the only thing I would say I don't agree with, but I would say be careful with is the film 10x. I love that you overshoot, but it does mean you've got more to work with in your edit. So I would say with that, make sure you're getting enough coverage, maybe enough B-roll, but on the actual content, don't go and do 10 takes of something. Once you're happy with it, move on. Like it really is kind of, as much as I hate to say it, get it in, get it out. Like get the content in, edit it fast, get it back out, get on to the next one. If a lot of people are on that hamster wheel, shooting extras are going to slow down that process.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I noticed when you're first starting out, that's like natural to want to shoot everything but instead what you should think of is before you go into the video is what story do I actually want to tell? What value do I really want to deliver here? And kind of plan it out in your head a little bit. When you plan it out before you shoot, you're going to need to capture less footage and you'll end up with a better product at the end. And the edit will go
and you do
faster.
it in less time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yep.
Cool. Enforcer man, use any equipment you have, but be authentic and people will watch. Good tip. Yeah. Authentic, have a good strategy, make sure it sounds good, things like that. But when you're first getting started, use any equipment you have. Yeah, definitely. Don't let the equipment hold you back. Harley, Pebbly, it's important. An important thing about lighting is to make sure that they're all the same white balance. That can really help it look good. Is if you look at Justin's right now, his setup looks way better than mine with my black. And
I don't know about that. I'm scared now. I don't know what mine actually looks like.
Oh, it looks good. You go back and watch the stream. It looks good. So he's got, you can see the lights behind him are a little bit more yellow than the light bouncing off of him, which is a little bit more white or blue, technically. So you typically don't want to mix different color lights. But if you are, or you don't know what it is, you can just use the custom white balance on your. Can you do that on a phone?
Yeah, you can. In Filmic Pro, you can lock down your white balance. Yeah. So what I would say with this background is that I wouldn't recommend it unless you are locking down your settings. Like for this, I'm using a webcam. I have the webcam locked, so it's not going to take a reading from those lights. I can change the colors in the background. It's not going to affect the shot. Same as with a smartphone. If you've locked down your white balance, you can break that rule of the color temperature in your lights, but make sure that the lights that are on you are the same color temperature. If you've got one that's warm and one that's cool, your skin tones are going to be looking weird and you can't recover that in your color grade. So with keeping all your lights the same, it is really important on yourself. As for the background, if you're using it creatively, that's fine, but lock down your white balance so it's not going to try and read that and mess up your colors.
That's right. Let's see here. Enforcer man says if you're on a budget, use a lapel mic. Yep, that's a very good tip. Talked about that. Cinematic Fluxufa. I will attach aluminum foil around the camera sensor, and Viola, you got super lighting. Have you tried that?
I haven't tried it. I could see how that could work as like to bounce the light around like a torch.
Huh.
You think inside like the torch, right? It's got that metal piece. Yeah.
Wrap
there you go.
Foil on the camera.
I haven't tried it. It could work.
Okay, cool.
Good tip.
Well, good tip. I hope that worked. I'm kind of curious. I want to go try that or look up a video or
the next live stream.
Yeah, totally. Guess what we're doing next time, guys? Actually, we have a bonus live stream for you guys tomorrow. It'll be at 2 p.m. or 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, so a half hour later than we normally do these. I mean, I know we don't normally stream on Tuesdays, but our video lab session is wrapping up, and you guys, we're going to have like a bunch of those guys. They had like just outstanding growth in only 8 weeks. I'd say about half of them doubled in 8 weeks. All
That's
through
awesome.
organic stuff. So it doubled their retention, doubled their click-through rates, doubled their watch time, I'm excited for you guys to hear their stories, but they're going to share their best tips with you about what really made a big impact on their growth and everything that they've been doing for the past 8 weeks and the things they've changed on their channel. So we'll be here again tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and you guys can hang out, and there's going to be probably like 15 of them. So we're just going to rapid fire through their tips, and then they're all going to like answer your questions and help you guys kind of apply it to your channels as well. So make sure you're here for that. But in the meantime, check out Primal Video, guys. Like, seriously, learn more about how to do more with your video production and your gear and your equipment, and you talk about business stuff too over there related to video as well. So there's a link to it below in case you came into the stream later. You can find a link to it down below. Justin, just kind of remind the new people who maybe popped in what Primal Video is all about.
Yeah, so I run Primal Video. I'm slurring my words already. Run Primal Video with my brother Mike, but we're all about helping you get unstuck and getting a return from the videos you're creating, but obviously helping you create those videos as well. Get you unstuck with creating content and seeing a return on it. But it's not just a return in views and subscribers. That's nice, but at the end of the day, it may not mean anything depending on your goals, but getting a return in terms of dollars in, I think that's the biggest thing. Our goal is to help 10,000 people build a full-time income online within the next 3 years. So that's our goal. We're creating content around that. So people think it's video editing, video production, but it is what are you going to do with that once you know how to edit or whatever? So it's an interesting thing, but I think it's something that can change people's lives. Like, I think we're all doing this for a reason, whether it is just to get our message out, or whether it is to have some real impact or build a business or support your family, or to stop working your main job. I think it's all possible. And it's cool to be sharing stuff, just like your channel as well. So we've been inspired by you and the content you've put out. We've been watching you for a long time.
Yeah,
and it's been
SEO
awesome
days,
to connect.
Right?
Yeah. Sorry?
Was it Real SEO? Is that when you start? Was that when we first connected?
Yeah. Yep.
Back way
it's
back.
a long time. And I never thought that I would be in the position where I'm making YouTube content ever. Like, I was always a behind the camera guy. And if you want a good laugh, then go and check out our early videos where I was deer in the headlights and didn't blink. But we've left them there as a progression to show you guys that anyone can do it. Like this, yes, it's all right, I've got a film background, but I've never been in front of camera ever. I would avoid it. Like, I hate having my photo taken. So this has been pushing boundaries and the growth, but we help people with that. So it's a bit of fun.
Sweet. Cool, guys. We'll check it out. Link down below. And we will catch you guys again next week for another Video Creators live stream. Same time, same place. And we'll see you guys then. Bye.